I'm Danny V of DMV Films. Let me tell you a story that you'll enjoy.
Hey, how are you? Danny V here again. We're going to do the top Jewish stories of today via Jewish News 24. Here we go. The Israeli foreign minister was honored and proud to be in Kiev and show Israel's solidarity with Ukraine. He said that I thank my friend FM Andriy Sabiha for the warm hospitality, and they agreed to hold a strategic dialogue on the Iranian threat. Israel supports Ukraine and the people of Ukraine. We will continue to strengthen our friendship. Personally, I've always said that it was a mistake for Israel to take sides, in which is basically a family fight between two closely related people, the Ukrainian people and the Russian people. Also, it's pretty evident that eventually Russia will win. But I understand at the same time that Israel, is a strong ally of America and kind of has to take the same side as America. Also, Russia is a supporter of the enemies of Israel, including Iran, Hamas, Hezbollah, Assad, etc. A fire broke out at Istafan's University of Technology after two explosions were reportedly held northwest of the city. Local sources attribute the blaze to electrical malfunctions, and officials say it's been contained. This is very suspicious. Isfahan, of course, is one of the cities where there's nuclear material. Let's watch the video. Russia has launched its July Storm Navy drills involving 150 plus warships and 15,000 troops across the Pacific, Arctic, Baltic, and Caspian Seas. Running July 23rd to 27th, the exercise will test fleet readiness, long-range weapons, drones, and other advanced tech per the defense industry. Over the past day, the IAF struck around 120 targets in Gaza, including terror cells, compounds, tunnels, and booby trap buildings. The IDF says it's wrapping up observations in northern Gaza with the airstrike in Jabalia, killing several Hamas terrorists. This looks like a destruction of a tunnel. This looks like it's from a drone. Germany's Security Council has approved the sale of 40 Eurofighter Typhoon jets to Turkey, clearing a clear obstacle and defense deal long stalled by political tensions between the NATO allies. Eurofighter is the fighter developed similar to the F-15. It's a fighter bomber. It was developed with France and Germany. France always likes to have their own tech. They don't want to be relying on America. That's France's big thing. It's kind of strange they're selling this to Turkey. I mean, Turkey is basically an enemy of the United States and of Europe. I don't understand. I mean, they support jihadism. We know that Al Jalani, who is Al Qaeda, we know that he was supported in part by Turkey. They're killing Kurds. They're killing Kurds both in Turkey and in Syria and also partially in Iraq. So why would they support? I don't understand it. It's very strange. Let's watch this. Obviously, a very capable fighter. Representative Mike Lawler of New York, Republican New York, told the New York Times he will seek re-election in his key Hudson Valley swing district next year rather than run for governor, a boost for House Republicans and a move that clears the way for Elise Stefanik to consider a gubernatorial bid. Israeli woman is reportedly arrested 2 weeks ago by the Shin Bet for allegedly conspiring to harm Prime Minister Netanyahu with an explosive device. She has since been released under restrictions barring her from approaching government institutions or the prime minister. An indictment for conspiracy to commit a crime and act of terrorism is expected tomorrow. If this was the U.S., she would be under the jail. I don't understand why she's being released. Very strange. I've lived in Israel, but I don't know a lot about internal Israeli politics. But why would you release a terrorist that tried to kill the prime minister? It's just bizarre. Like, lock her under the jail. I don't understand that. It says, great to see real Donald Trump tonight. This is from Congressman Randy Fine. Thank him for leading us as we make America great again. He loved the kippah. Yeah, Fine is such a Jewish name. What's his name? Randy Fine. That's pretty Jewish. Congressman Randy Fine of Florida meeting President Trump last night and thanking him. Iranian officials suspect sabotage of string of mysterious fires. For weeks, fires and explosions have reported almost daily in Iran. Officials are investigating what they think is a coordinated campaign. You think? You think? Iran suspects Israel is behind a recent wave of explosions targeting oil refineries and homes. The New York Times reports. While Iranian officials privately blame Israeli sabotage, Tehran has stopped short of direct accusations, likely to avoid pressure for retaliation. That's pretty messed up. If your country, you don't have control of your country, that just shows. It just goes back to what President Trump has been saying. If you don't have control of your borders, you don't have a country. Imagine something like that was happening in the United States, where we had all these mysterious explosions and attacks, and we had no idea who was doing them. I mean, we had an idea, but we couldn't stop it. Can you imagine what an uproar Americans would be? But this is what they're dealing with in Tehran, because they chose to make the Israeli state their enemy. Isn't that insane? Danny Denon, the UN ambassador to the UN of Israel, I believe. The UN Security Council will convene today at 10 a.m. to discuss the situation in the Middle East. In my speech, I intend to expose the truth about the UN Humanitarian Agency, OCHA, which has become a mouthpiece for the terrorist organization Hamas. It just seems like there's a theme that the UN has basically been co-opted by Hamas, by terrorists, which if you think about it, it makes sense because the majority of the countries in the world are not open democracies or some sort of dictatorship. And the most powerful countries, countries like Saudi Arabia, China, Russia, these are not democracies. Democracy is no guarantee of freedom, but if you're a dictatorship, you're almost for sure not going to have any freedom. Also, there's 2 billion Muslims, and there's a significant minority of them, maybe even a majority of them, that support the destruction of the state of Israel and the destruction of the West. DNI Tulsi Gabbard has declassified a House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence report claiming Putin and his Russian government didn't aspire to help Trump win in 2016. Later, Obama ordered a rewrite of intel to say Putin did aspire to help Trump win. I mean, we always knew that whole Russian Gate thing was fake. I mean, it didn't even sound right. I mean, remember, Russia has like 120 million people. United States has like 350 million people. United States GDP is like, I want to say 50 times as large as Russia. Let's fact check that. Just common sense should tell you that United States is way more powerful than Russia as far as influence. Russia has a very good military, and they have nuclear weapons, and they have a lot of territory. But as far as international influence, they have very little. 3 times the population and 14 times the GDP. Do you really think Russia has a serious chance of influencing the outcome? I don't think they do. An Iranian naval helicopter issued a warning to the USS Fitzgerald at 10 a.m. today after it entered waters monitored by Iran in the Sea of Oman. So they're throwing their weight around.
US warship Fitzgerald is Iranian Navy helicopter calling Gun Channel 16. They are approaching to Iranian territorial water. Immediately change course to 18 degrees and get away.
A 7-year-old Riki has a wish to win cancer and live. Riki knows she only has one chance, a new treatment given in only one children's hospital in the USA. She also knows that her parents can afford it, having spent all of their assets on her medical expenses. Riki is playing for a miracle. You can be that miracle. Together we can fund her, hope, and give her life. Let's do it now. But the link is on the chessedfund.com. The chessedfund.com. If you go to thechessedfund.com, click look on their website, search for Riki, RIKI. You should be able to find that link. The goal is $250,000. She is at $73,000 from about 1,700 contributors. Ambassador Mike Huckabee met with Rob Dove Landau today and spoke about a Haredi draft. Huckabee, as important as it is to have soldiers, you must also have scholars. Scholars remind you of who you are and why you're here, and scholars to respect and protect. Harav Landau. If only many Jews thought like that. It's so crazy that Huckabee, a Christian, understands the value of learning Torah more than a lot of the Israeli officials. Isn't that sad? You know, I think that Huckabee gets it, that Israel's strength and Israel's victory is not due to soldiers. Although we love our soldiers, we value our soldiers, we thank our soldiers for their sacrifice, we honor the fallen, holy dead, the holy soldiers that died. At the same time, we have to understand that we have to go all the way back to what happened during the rebellion against Rome. It's not about swords and fighting. It's about God. If we connect to Torah, if we connect to Hashem, then we can get the victory. But if we don't have that, then no amount of arms will help us. And Huckabee understands that. I don't know why a lot of Israeli leaders don't. Let's see the video.
I do understand that as important as it is to have soldiers, you must also have scholars. Scholars who remind you who you are, why you're here, and soldiers to protect and to keep that God has given.
אבל למרות זאת, הוא מבין שבנוסף לחיילים צריכים גם כן לומדים. הוא מבין שעם ישראל מלבד צבא הוא חייב גם שיהיה לומדי תורה. לומדים שמזכירים מי אנחנו, מה אנחנו. שעל ידי זה זוכרים מי אנחנו ומה אנחנו. The rabbi said that if only there were many Jews who believed that understood.
Isn't that a shame? Isn't that a shame? Israel's foreign ministry, exclusive footage from Hamas tunnels, while Hamas leaders scream starvation to the world, and many so-called aid organizations, many of whom are allied with either Islamism or terrorists or other anarchist causes. Hamas terrorists are seen boasting about full meals in the tunnels far from the suffering above and stocked with items not from merited aid. Once again, Hamas hoards, Hamas hides, and Hamas lies at the expense of Gaza's civilians.
الموز موز والبلح بلح واللحم لحمه واليوم لفات رز ويا حبيبي وهم يغلب عليكم المانجا
They really like fruit. They really like their fruit there, don't they?
والبلح بلح يا ابو بهجه
Apples, bananas,
وراحت عليك يا ابو خالد راحت عليك الخير كله كب علينا يا ابو خالد ان شاء الله يا اخوان ابو خالد حيقصر حيجيب لكم عام مبرومه يغلب على اللي جابوا خسر والله ويغلب على اخ ابو بكر بعت لنا مانجا وبلح وموز الاخ ابو بكر وحلب من عند ام احمد مرت هنا ابو دق بعت لنا حلب يا ناس.
Shout out to Jewish News 24. Please sign up to the WhatsApp group. They send a lot of notifications a day, but it's good information. The landmark conference held in Washington brought together 30 U.S. senators and representatives who expressed strong backing for extending Israel's sovereignty over Judea and Samaria. The gathering, the largest ever focused on the issue in the U.S. Capitol, featured Samaria's Regional Council Chairman Yossi Dagan, who highlighted the shared mission of securing Israel's control over the area. Just recently, there was a vote, a non-binding vote in the Knesset to extend Israel's sovereignty over the so-called West Bank, which of course is not the West Bank, it's Judea and Samaria. This is the heartland. This is where most of the stories of the Bible happened, Judea and Samaria. Judea, named for the Jews. This is the heartland of the Jews. And who would you give it to? Who would you give the land to even if you wanted to? Who are you going to give it to? Because every time Israel gives away land, it becomes a hotbed for terrorism. People who want to destroy the Jewish state. But anyway, let's watch.
Historical opportunity. All the people in our continent understand and agree to bring the sovereignty.
Samaria need to have sovereignty. No more of this West Bank business. This is a part of Israel. Israel's sovereignty is extremely important, and its security is tied into it. So we're with you.
Obviously, historical Israel is critically important to the security of the United States and the region. So we very much look forward to working with you and many other friends.
So I only encourage us, for all of us that are strong supporters of Israel, take a look at what this means for Israel to be able to.
Got the poor Duma, the red cows in the background.
The work that you've done as well. In Genesis 12:3, it says, if you bless Israel, you'll be blessed. If you curse Israel, you'll be cursed. And so, as a nation, I think it's important that we stand with Israel government.
We're so happy to have our president come over. I want to see you bring across your sovereignty and control.
People can ask, why Israel? You hear a lot of jokes going around, a lot of memes going around about, all these wars are war for Israel. The war against Iran, the war in Iraq, the multiple wars in Iraq. I think what people need to understand, and what most Jews already understand, is not wars for Israel. This is the center of the world. The center of the world this is the center of civilization. When you look at Egypt, right, the great civilizations of history, Egypt, Babylonia, Assyria, right? You look at all these great civilizations. Israel is right in the center. Israel is at a crossroads between Africa, Asia, and Europe. And Israel is like a nexus point. And whoever controls Israel, whatever civilization controls Israel, that is a nexus point for the world at that time. And that's why the Catholics thought it was such a big deal to send crusades. Think about how different we're not going to talk about the injustices and discussing things that happened during the crusade. But let me just focus on my main point, is that they went through great expense to send a large amount of people. This was in a time when nothing moved faster than a horse, to march thousands and thousands and thousands of their people to Israel to make sure they controlled that land, because they understood that whoever controls that land controls the world. And so, yes, Israel is the most important place in the world. Israel, because it's not a coincidence when you look at the Bible, you look at the power of the Bible. Why is the Bible the most popular book in the world? All these stories, most of these stories are about Jesus and all these ancient figures, they happen right in Israel. And even Islam, they say that Muhammad, their prophet, went to Israel. He went to Jerusalem, and that's where he flew off to heaven. So Israel is so important. And the best people to be stewards of the Holy Land are the Jews, a people who have never yielded imperial power for the most part of history. Mostly Jews have always been subject to some other people, some other country. Jews have lived in all countries, been suffering servants, helping the world, contributing to the world, giving incredible inventions, giving incredible spirituality and mercy and love. The Jews are the best people to be in that land. And again, whoever controls that land controls the world. That is a special world. Israel is important. And I think we got the brothers back together. You know, according to the rabbis, we understand that we have the brothers of Jacob and Esau. And Esau was meant to be a holy person, he was the big brother, he was the enforcer, he was the protector, he was the one that would allow Jacob to sit and learn and develop spirituality. And the two of them going to work together. And that's what you see now. You have America, who represents Rome, represents Esau, strength, power, the sword. No one's better at fighting than America. America can fight in a way that no one else can even dream of. Just think about the way that Iran was completely destroyed. First by Israel using American technology in collaboration with Israeli technology, and then how America came in and bombed these nuclear sites who nobody thought could be bombed. The point is that Esau and Jacob are back together. And think about that power. Esau and Jacob are back together in the world. These two forces for good working together, and hopefully it will continue this way, for the good of the world. Because listen, Islam can be a beautiful religion. Islam can be a beautiful bringer of spirituality, but also all too often political Islamism, which is when Muslims try to force their religion on other people. It's a negative. It's a tremendous negative. Let's not mix up the chicken and the egg. The cause of all these problems is Islamism. September 11th happened first. It wasn't America went into Iraq and then September 11th and then America had to go into Iraq. Same thing here. Let's not mix up the order. It's not that Israel went into Gaza and then now the Hamas terrorists are doing all these things. The Hamas terrorists did what they did first, and then Israel simply responded in self-defense. Russia and Ukraine ended their Istanbul peace talks after just 34 minutes with no further rounds expected, according to TSS. It's an intractable situation. It's very simple. The current leadership of Ukraine was put in place by the United States. Look up the revolution, I believe it's called the Green Revolution in Ukraine. They're literally put in place by the State Department. Even the State Department was discussing what leaders they're going to put in place. It was hand-picked leaders who are friendly with the United States who were put in place. In other words, what they're doing is not in the best interest of Ukraine. And so much blood has been shed. Regardless of right and wrong, when this is all said and done, Russia will survive, Ukraine won't. Ukraine has lost its best and brightest young men and women in this war. At least 1 million dead. And Russia has 120 million people. So Russia can absorb that. Even though it's painful, they can absorb that million dead, that maybe 1 million dead Russians. But Ukraine can absorb 1 million. They had maybe, I want to say 40 million people before. I think they might have 20 million now. But let's see what let's fact check that. But Ukraine cannot absorb these same kind of losses. Okay, 41 million. That's what I said, 40 million before. According to this now, which I don't believe these numbers, it says there's 39 million now. That doesn't make any sense. So you're telling me 41 million before the war and only around 5 million people left during this whole war between the death I've met so many Ukrainians. I live in Chicago. I met so many Ukrainians that live here that are working here in construction and driving Uber drivers. I met so many people that, they told me you're Ukrainian. That's just the people that told me, hey, I'm Ukrainian. How many people did I meet that I didn't even know were Ukrainian? So I can't believe for a second only 6 million people left. I don't believe it at all. I don't buy it. I would imagine every able-bodied man who did not want to fight left right away, and the rest are trying to sneak out. And I think that, from what I understand, it's basically a death sentence. It's basically a death sentence if you're put into the military today, because they give you maybe 2 weeks of training, then they put you on the front line. I heard a week. I heard 2 weeks. Anyway, the point is, regardless of the righteousness of Ukraine's cause or not righteous, they're gonna lose. There's no way they're gonna win. So if you can't win a fight, it's just, I'll compare it to Lahavdil when Israel was fighting Rome back during 2,000 years ago, the Jewish Roman wars. If you can't win, you shouldn't fight. Even if your cause is just, even if you are right, even if you're just, if you can't win, you shouldn't fight. You should find a way. It says here, for intense infantry posts, life expectancy is just hours. Early days of deployment, casualty risk is 50 to 70%. In your first combat deployment, you're 50 to 70% likely to die. On the very front line, your life expectancy is hours. So they're just burning through their young men. And by the way, I just want to show you something here real quick. Something that relates to this. I want to show you what a healthy population looks like versus Ukraine. We're gonna look at a healthy. This is what a healthy population pyramid. If you've never seen a population pyramid, it basically just shows how many people in each age group. It goes from 0 up to 100 plus, and it shows, you can see how many people are in each cohort, male and female. Now you can see here, this is what a healthy population pyramid looks like. It looks like a pyramid. It should be wide at the bottom and narrow at the top. That means that the population, people are having enough children to replace themselves. It's a growing population. That's a very healthy population. Lots of young people. And you can see, if I was to draw this up into squares and estimate, let's say people under 35 and people over 35, it might be roughly equal, basically. A lot of young people. Now let's look at Ukraine, and Russia's in the same. Really, most of the Western world's in the same case. You can see here, this is the Ukrainian population pyramid. There's way more females than males. You see, there's way more females. This is the excess females. There's way more females than males, which means males are dying young. It means once we get to about 40 years old, way more men are dying than women. Now we can say this because of alcoholism. Maybe men are leaving the country. We can't say for sure. This was 2003, so it's even worse today. Probably this was 2 years ago. Now you look at this. Look at this. What is this? You see this, the big dip there in the middle. So you look at this compared to the other one. So just look at this right here. So you see, if I say people under 35, this cohort under 35 is way less, even with all the males that are dead, way less than below. This is not a healthy population. It was healthy 40 years ago, maybe. But today, and what happened 40 years ago? Ukrainian independence happened about 40 years ago. It happened in the 90s. About 30, 40 years ago. That was, so you see, there's people, there should be people here that are missing. And look how narrow it is at the bottom. Now, you know anything about a pyramid? If you have a pyramid, what keeps it stable is it's wide on the bottom. Now, if you're more like this, right? Anyway, the point is that Ukraine doesn't have the people to fight this war. And this is a war of attrition. It's very, very bad. It's very bad. This war is terrible for Ukraine. It's bad for Russia, but it's worse for Ukraine because they only have, I don't believe 36 million. I think they have maybe 25 million people. I don't believe for a second they got 30 million people. How can you have a major war like this and your population was bad to start with, and it's the young people who are fighting the war, people under, let's say, 60 and younger who are fighting the war? The average age of the soldiers in Ukraine, I believe, is like 50, 45 or 50 years old. Let's do a quick fact check. This is bad. It's very bad for Ukraine. It's very bad. I don't see how this can go well for them. It's bad for them. It's just so sad because I think it could be righteous to fight for your own country, but if you're guaranteed to lose, is that really the best way to go? It isn't. It really isn't. It says here the average age of Ukrainian soldiers has climbed from the low 30s in early 2022 to early to mid 40s today. So you went from the low 30s to the mid 40s, which means that entire cohort has been attrited, means they've been killed. It means that entire cohort of people, right, that you've gone from average of low 30s to mid 40s, that means an entire generation has been killed. Entire generation has been killed. S&P 500 breaks above 6,350 for the first time in history, now up over 31% since April 2025. This isn't a good thing. When you see the stock market hitting new highs, it means that our dollars are hitting new lows. That's how it works. In a vacuum, new highs in the stock market would be good. But against a backdrop of rampant inflation that we have, everybody's seen it. Houses have shot up through like crazy. I remember like a bag of chips, a small bag of chips used to be like $1.50. Now it's like a $3.50. A candy bar, all the little snacks and things like that have gone up like crazy. On the 25th anniversary of Israel's withdrawal from Joseph's tomb in Shechem, 62 ministers and MKs are calling for a permanent Jewish return. Citing the Oslo Accords, they say Israel has the right and duty to reestablish access and presence. The IDF has prepared a plan backed by key officials to restore security and reopen yeshiva at the site. The proposal will be presented to the Knesset this week. So 25 years ago would have been about 2000. So this was withdrawing for peace. Let's withdraw for peace. How did that work out? I think by now Israel kind of gets it, that like we saw yesterday with the interview we watched from Mansour Ashkan, that when you give up things for nothing, it's seen as weakness. It's seen as weakness. And it is weakness. First of all, who did Israel give Joseph's tomb and Shechem to? There's no one to negotiate with the other side. You have the PLO, which they now call the PA, the Palestinian Liberation Organization, who was established before 1967. They're established in 1963. So what were they trying to liberate in 1963? There was no occupation yet. No occupation of the so-called West Bank, which is Judea and Samaria. There's no occupation of Gaza at that time. So what were they trying to liberate? They were trying to liberate all of Israel in their minds. They were trying to liberate the world of the land of the Jews. So when you make these deals, it just shows you how desperate Jews are for peace. Jews want so badly to just be left alone. Like, please, just take this and leave us alone. Jews want so badly just to be left alone, to like live their life, worship their God, have children. That's all I want. Be left alone, have children, have my children, take care of my family. That's all I want. That's all Jews want. And they're so desperate, they're willing to delude themselves into thinking that you can make peace with people that want to kill you. They should return. It obviously didn't work. It clearly didn't work. The Knesset on Wednesday passed a resolution with 71 votes affirming Israel's historic and legal claim to Judea, Samaria, and the Jordan Valley. The measure highlights these areas as vital parts of Jewish heritage and rejects the establishment of a Palestinian state, citing recent security concerns. Obviously, we saw what happened in Gaza. We gave every single time, just recently, every single time that Jews give away something to people who want to kill us, doesn't work out. The establishment of the PLO to the PA, right, gave them this area. What did they do? Just recently, 2 PA police officers partook in a terror stabbing attack where they stabbed several Jews. Now, why didn't they use guns? I don't know. I'm sure they had guns. They're police officers. They used knives. They stabbed several Jews. As far as I know, no one was actually killed. Only because of the vigilance of the Israeli security forces. These people don't like us. We care about the deaths of Arabs too. We don't want anybody to die. So the total number between the beginning of the Oslo Accords, which was October 1993, and before October 7th, the total number is about 1,400 Jews that have been killed. So and then about 1,100 Jews on one day. It's not a coincidence that the second Intifada happened after the Oslo Accord, because as we learned from Mansur Ashkman, the more you try to make peace with people who want to kill you and are actually trying to kill you, the more they're emboldened to try harder. President Trump slashes 25% of the IRS workforce. That's great news. 25% of the IRS workforce to nearly 26,000 IRS staff. So that means less tax audits, which is a good thing. Following an investigation by FBI New York and the U.S. Attorney's Office, Domagoy Potkovic was sentenced to 16 months imprisonment for swatting and bomb threats. He made hoax bomb threat phone calls to historically Jewish hospitals and care centers in New York City and Long Island. What's the deal with this guy? So he's from Oregon. So it's for clicks and views. It says the defendant made threats at least 6 separate calls to hospitals and on a call with local law enforcement who have responded. The defendant live streamed the calls to others on an online social media and electronic communication service. On several occasions, local police responded. So basically, he looks like some kind of streamer. He's 31 years old. He lives in Portland, Oregon. So there you go. I can't find any other information on him. A new program called Operation Bright Eyes is equipping 500 New York City taxis with front, rear, and interior cameras to protect drivers from staged accidents and false injury claims. Launched by the New York State Federation of Taxi Drivers, the initiative aims to deter scammers and provide video evidence when drivers are falsely blamed. So this is a private initiative by this organization. They must be having a lot of fraud.
A push today to install cameras on taxis in New York City to protect drivers from insurance fraud. The cameras would catch scammers who fake accidents with or in cabs in order to cash in on insurance claims. Eyewitness News reporter Crystal Cranmore has more from Brooklyn.
Smile, you're on camera. 500 livery cars in New York City will be getting cameras installed thanks to a new partnership meant to crack down on scammers.
70% of every car accident for livery and black cars are fraudulent.
Like this viral dashcam video, authorities say captured a staged car crash on the Belt Parkway in Queens. It was designed to get insurance money. The New York State Federation of Taxi Drivers teamed up with American Transit and Display Ride to raise the money and equip cabs with the devices. Each camera costs about $300, and the Federation will manage the uploaded files so that all evidence is documented.
Now we can see what's going on around the cab at any given moment. This will tell the truth.
You could tell these are working class guys. Like, these aren't guys sitting in the office all day. These are guys. Look at these guys. These are guys they work for a living, and they're mad. They're upset about this fraud. It's a big problem. Scamming is getting out of control in this country. Scamming is getting out of control. I keep hearing about so many scams. I just heard about a scam against an elderly Jewish woman in New York, a Yiddish woman, and a Chinese scammer took a bunch of money from her. He pretended to be a federal agent, took a bunch of money from her.
This will disarm those that have been preying on us.
The Federation says the billion-dollar fraud machine drives up the cost of insurance, financially hurts insurance companies and livery drivers, who sometimes lose their privileges to...
That money comes out your pocket too. If you use a cab, you ride in a cab, that money has to come out of the fare. So when they're scamming people, that money comes out the fare.
Until after an investigation is complete. This Uber driver says he supports the move.
The police report, sometimes it's not accurate, what happened exactly. So when we have evidence with the video and voice of the what happening, it can help the insurance company. It can help the driver too.
The Federation is hoping to equip every livery car in New York City with a camera.
We will find the funding for it, but we need to make sure that the drivers are safe.
Crystal Vanmore, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
Israeli Foreign Minister Sha'ar met Ukrainian President Zelensky in Kiev. I asked that Ukraine designates Iranian RIGC as a terrorist organization. It seems kind of random. So what? Who cares if Ukraine designates them as a terrorist organization? It's so strange. I don't get that. What's the point? I don't hear any audio on this one. Yeah, there's no audio. I just it's so funny to me he won't wear a suit. It's like just put on a suit. Like it's just a uniform for a politician. Just put on a suit. It shows dignity, it shows respect. It's kind of annoying. It just reminds me that he's a comedian. He's not a real politician. But politicians, we want politicians. Even if we don't like what politicians often do or say, we want someone, we want a politician. We want that. Israeli Defense Minister Katz warned if the hostages are not released soon, the gates of hell will open. Man, he's getting desperate. I think the hostages can't be doing good. And I imagine, honestly, unfortunately, that there's about 50 hostages left, I believe. I mean, you saw how bad the last hostages that were released, how bad off they were. I really pray they're still alive. Hashem that they should return safely. A major British talk show station, LBC, is under fire after host James O'Brien read a listener's false claim that Jewish children in the UK are taught to see Arabs as cockroaches. Yeah, that's not true at all. That's not Jewish. We don't hate anybody. We're not that way. The message aired during a Gaza conflict segment was widely condemned as a modern day blood libel by Jewish groups. Absolutely. Yeah, we don't hate anybody. Like we don't have room in our heart for hate. Like our Judaist religion, everybody knows, Jewish religion, we're only allowed to hate Amalek. And even Amalek, we don't hate Amalek, we just want Amalek wiped out. The name should be erased. And Amalek, we don't know who Amalek is today. So it's really just like a symbolic idea. Anyway, there's just no way. I can't imagine telling my daughter to hate somebody. Like hate is such a burden on you. Hate is something that when people hate someone, they'll literally have a chance to help themselves and they'd rather hurt someone else. You know? Like hate is something that just destroys you from the inside out. Hate is a terrible thing. Givati Brigade troops in northern Gaza Belt's Hanun found a tractor looted from Kibbutz Kfar Aza during the October 7th attack. Wow. The tractor was recovered last night and returned to its owners this morning. Wow. Kfar Aza. Wow, that's crazy. Wow. We actually I went on a tour there to a Kfar not far from there. That was survived on October 7th. I'm going to put out the video at some point. That shows you they didn't have any use for that tractor. They just stole it because they could. Unfortunately, in Gaza, they're not productive there. They're not interested in making a good life there. They just want to destroy Israel. That's all they care about. Okay. A Palestinian terrorist behind a failed bus bombing in central Israel in February was captured today. Wow. So it took that long. I remember that there was a bunch of bombs put on buses before they would start for the day, and the idea was that as they go pick up people, they would pick up people, and then it would blow up when it was full of people. And they only caught him just today. That's amazing. So it took them what, six months to capture this guy? I remember that specifically, and the reason they caught him was because one bomb went off early, or either one bomb went off early, or it was discovered by a bus driver. I think one bomb went off early, blew up the bus, and from that they checked all the buses and they found 6 more bombs. After a months-long manhunt, according to the IDF, Shin Bet, and police, on February 20, 3 empty buses exploded in Bat Yam and Holon, with 2 more explosive devices later found undetonated. No injuries were reported. The subject, Abed Al-Karim Sniper, was tracked down after an explosion yesterday in Nablus. What? So they only caught him because he had an accident with explosives. So we've been looking for this guy in Nablus. Nablus is a terrorist hotbed. The thing about Nablus, IDF doesn't have free reign of Nablus. I think Nablus is the leading headquarters for most of these terrorists. Anyway, he only got caught because he mishandled explosives. He was likely building explosives to carry out further attacks. He was wounded. He fled the scene, prompting a 19-hour pursuit that ended in his arrest. During the operation, forces discovered and destroyed more prime explosive devices in the building. So he's been doing this for a while. It took him so long to catch him. Amazing. Good thing they got him. Hopefully they don't let him loose in a prisoner exchange deal or some crap. I really pray it's the end of these prisoner exchange deals. I really pray that Israel, it just understands, like, you just have to kill them. People that want to kill you, you have to kill them first. That's what the Talmud says. If somebody comes to kill you, you got to kill them first. Rise up early. It says rise up early and kill them first. Also in the Bible it says that someone's tunneling into the house and you kill them, there's no blood guilt. Meaning if someone's is actively working to attack you in some way, you're allowed to kill them first. You don't have to wait for them to actually attack you. You don't have to wait. I don't have to wait for the guy to pop out of the tunnel into my house. Because remember, in former times, a lot of times houses had dirt floors. So people would dig under the walls of the house and then come up through the floor. I don't have to wait for a guy to pop out of my floor and start attacking my wife and kids. I don't have to wait for that. I see the guy tunneling under my house, I can kill him right away. And we don't want to kill anybody. But the terrible thing about we have in the world is we have this idea that you're not allowed to defend yourself. You're not allowed to defend yourself. Self-defense is a right. Self-defense is really the greatest right that we have. It's really the ultimate right, because all other rights come from the right of self-defense. Why do I have a right to freedom of speech, right? Or why do I have a right to protection of my property, that my property shouldn't be violated? Or why do I have a right to, all the other rights come out of the right of self-defense. That I have a right that somebody can't just come and accost me and attack me and I have to take it. That's the first and most fundamental right that we have is self-defense. And all the other rights come out of that, because I can defend myself, I have a right to speak. It's because I can defend myself, I have a right that you can't come and mess with my property, because if you do, I'm going to defend myself. Because of self-defense, all the other rights are there. Here we go. The EU and the US is close to a trade deal setting 15% tariffs on European imports to avoid President's plan increase to 30%. So they probably gave some kind of sessions to him. He's using a tariff threat as like the big boogeyman that everyone's afraid of. All right. Secretary Rubio. Secretary Rubio. The State Department is opening an investigation to Harvard's authority to sponsor exchange visas. Visa sponsorship is a privilege, and sponsors that conduct tarnishes our nation's interests will lose that privilege. So basically, they're sponsoring people that shouldn't be sponsored. They're sponsoring basically people who should never be in this country. And if you're gonna do that, you should have that revoked. Outrage over the war in Gaza reportedly led a former security guard at the U.S. Embassy in Norway to spy for Russia and Iran. This is what I'm talking about. Israel is a nexus point for the world. Literally, Israel is the nexus point for the world. Look about all the people who are flipping way to the other side because of this issue. It's not about Israel. It's about Israel as the center. And when people see what's going on, they have to choose a side. There's nobody sitting on the fence. Prosecutors announced Wednesday the unarmed Norwegian man was indicted on charges of handing over sensitive information, including floor plans and security routines. He was arrested last November. He faces up to 21 years of prison. Put the guy in prison for life. Spy for Russia and Iran because he supports Hamas. Crazy. Insane. A 63 Supreme Court allows President Trump to remove 3 Democrats from the Consumer Protection Safety Commission. So he wouldn't let them remove. Now they're being removed. 6-3. 6-3. I wonder who the 3 dissenting votes were. I don't think I have to try that hard to guess. Amid a sharp rise in anti-Semitic attacks following the Gaza war, dozens of European rabbis on Wednesday are urging Krav Maga training in the Netherlands to protect themselves. The Rabbinical Center of Europe organized the sessions in response to growing fears amongst Jewish leaders. I mean, it doesn't hurt. The thing about fighting, it takes a lot of time and energy to become competent. You know, a couple sessions of Krav Maga is not going to help you, even if you have a weapon, and even if you have a license to carry a concealed weapon, and you go to the range a couple times. I mean, it's better than nothing, but to really be competent with fighting, you have to do it like all the time, at least once a week. 2 or 3 times a week would be better. So it's better than nothing, but I think it's the worst way to go. Fighting is something, or anything with defense, either live it, breathe it, and it's part of you, and it's something you do on a regular basis, or just leave it alone. Because it can be counterproductive. Because a lot of times, let's say you have let's just use an example. Let's say you have a knife to defend yourself. I'm just throwing out a knife. So if you don't know what you're doing with that knife, the other person, now that you have a knife, now you escalated things because you have a deadly weapon. Now they're mad, and if they know how to fight, they can take that knife from you easily. If they fight and they live and breathe fighting, they can take that knife from you, and they're mad now because you escalated it past just a fist fight to a knife. Or let's say you have a gun. Somebody can take that gun, especially if you don't know how to shoot. I've seen multiple cases where people are literally 5 foot away from each other. You would think you can't miss at that range, but you'd be surprised. If you don't go to the range, if you don't know what you're doing with your firearm, you can definitely miss. You definitely miss, even at a close range. So I don't know if I agree with this. I think that's not the way to go. I think the way to go is to teach people to be observant, to be smart. And if you're gonna go into fighting, you gotta go into it full. It should be a daily thing for you. I'm not any like martial arts expert, but I spent years training between karate. I did a little boxing. I did Brazilian jiu-jitsu, which is a ground fighting. And still, I think I can handle myself better than the average person, but when you get in a fight or you get in a physical confrontation, anything can happen to you. And then the person sometimes when you learn how to fight karate and all this kind of stuff, you learn to pull your punches, you learn to fight fair. You know, people in real life use all kind of disgusting tactics. They'll poke you in the eye, they'll throw dirt in your face, you know they might just pull out a mace you and then beat you up. Like, I don't know. I don't really think that's a good idea, honestly. And these guys don't look like. I'll be honest with you. Look at these guys. Do these guys look like they can defend themselves? I mean, maybe if it's all of them against one guy, but I think you're better off just teaching people to run away and to know the signs of danger. Because this is not gonna help. This is not gonna help anybody. All right.
Another matter, over the past few days, Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard has unveiled shocking new evidence that former President Barack Obama and top aides in the Obama administration conspired to subvert President Trump's 2016 election victory and undermine the democratic will of the American people. While publicly pretending to engage in a peaceful transfer of power, in private, former President Obama went to great and nefarious lengths to try to sow discord among the public and sabotage his successor, President Trump. The new evidence released by the Director of National Intelligence, who is here with me today, confirms that the Obama administration manufactured politicized intelligence, which was later used as the justification for baseless smears against President Trump in an effort to try to delegitimize his victory before he even took the oath of office. The truth is that President Trump never had anything to do with Russia, and the Russia collusion hoax was a massive fraud perpetuated on the American people from the very beginning. And the worst part of this is Obama knew that truth, and so did all of the other corrupt officials involved in this scam, including former CIA Director John Brennan, former Director of National Intelligence James Clapper, former FBI Director James Comey, former Deputy Director Andrew McCabe, and many others. Director of National Intelligence Gabbard's report further confirms what we already knew. There was no collusion, no corruption. except on the part of Barack Obama and the weaponized intelligence agencies at the time.
I mean, this is what you get when, let's say this is true. This is what you get when you treat a fellow countryman like an enemy, and that's what we've seen. The way that they've treated Trump. I mean, you never saw Obama treated that way. I mean, there may have been commentators online that had something negative to say about him, but the Republicans never treated Obama like an enemy, you know? And we saw that, we see that with Trump. They treat Trump like he's literally mustache man. They treat him like he's literally the devil incarnate. And it's like it just doesn't make any sense. Like, even if you disagree with somebody politically, there has to be limits. There has to be limits because there's an enemy. An enemy you can almost do whatever you want to do to, within the realms of not getting into war crimes, right? There's war crimes, but you can almost do whatever you want to an enemy. And it's almost like there's millions of people in the United States that feel a greater love with Hamas, real terrorists, Hamas, Al Nusra Front, Al Qaeda. They feel a greater affinity and love with them than they do with their fellow countrymen like Trump. It's like, I don't get. It's crazy to me. I mean, when you see all these people marching for free Palestine, which is meaning cleansing Israel of Jewish people. That's what it means. I don't understand it. It's just insane to me. I don't get it. You know, like, how can you love these genocidal killers but hate your own president, American? It's just bizarre to me. I just don't understand. I can't understand it. I don't understand these people. I can understand, not liking this person or that person, but the level of hate, I don't get it. I don't hate anybody. I don't hate anybody. You know, I don't hate anyone. I even try really hard not to let go of negative feelings as quickly as I can, because it eats you up inside. It destroys you. New Jersey Governor Murphy signed a new law requiring a state motor vehicle commission to create digital driver's licenses and ID cards, though the change won't take effect for many years. I don't know what this digital driver's license means. That's interesting. I'm not gonna look it up, but it's interesting. Director Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard says Obama directed a years-long coup and treason conspiracy against the American people and Trump.
You've inferred that the former president helped lead a coup. Based on what you now see, do you believe President Obama is guilty of treason?
I'm leaving the criminal charges to the Department of Justice. I am not an attorney, but as I've said previously,
this sounds serious. This sounds really serious.
Behind creating a fake manufactured intelligence document that directly contradicts multiple assessments that were created by the intelligence community, the expressed intent and what followed afterward can only be described as a years-long coup and a treasonous conspiracy against the American people, our republic, and an attempt to undermine President Trump's administration.
The Senate Intelligence Committee.
Wow, I mean, this sounds serious. I don't know what to make of these charges, but I mean, to be fair, Trump did say he was going to put these people in jail. He kept saying that they're going to be in jail. Remember that? He said it about Hillary. He said it about Obama, and then we haven't heard anything for a while. And you never know with Trump. Is it just talk, or is this for real? But it looks like this looks serious. I think right now he's putting this out to float it and see what the public reaction is. I think that's what he's trying to do. Why put this out now? I think he's trying to float it and see what the public response is. And based on the public response, they have their ways of doing research and seeing how people are responding to different headlines. He's got his pulse on the American people, but still he has to put an idea out into the public first before he can see, he's not going to just do something that's unpopular, right? He has to make sure that his base supports it. And remember, he got the majority of the votes. That means the majority of the people right now, in theory, support him. So if he's putting it out there, I mean, that means that he's trying to see if there's enough people who support this idea and he's going to see what he can do legally. That would be the next step. Like they said, they're going to put it to the justice system, Department of Justice. So they're setting it up to actually lock these people up. Honestly, it makes sense because the Democrats did nothing but dump on Trump, and they tried to have him. They really tried everything they could to keep him out of office. They tried to convince him of felonies. They did convict him of some felonies, but most people agree that these are trumped up charges. Trumped up. On top of that, I think most people understand that these are not legitimate uses of the justice system. So the question is, how will this be seen? And that's what I think Trump wants to find out. I think Trump has the juice. He could prosecute Obama. He could prosecute. He has the juice. He's the president. He could probably issue an executive order to just have Obama arrested, something like that. He could probably do that. I mean, he could. Now it would be resisted, but I think he's just trying to see right now what is the public interest, what is the public support, how many people would support Obama and so on being arrested or being prosecuted, and then from that he's going to see what he can do legally.
Believe that any of this new information implicates former President Obama in criminal behavior?
We have referred and will continue to refer all of these documents to the Department of Justice and the FBI to investigate the criminal implications of this. The evidence, correct. The evidence that we have found and that we have released directly point to President Obama leading the manufacturing of this intelligence assessment. There are multiple pieces of evidence and intelligence that confirm that fact.
So this saying President Obama directed this manufacturing of fake documents in order to smear Trump with basically treason. I don't know. This seems really serious.
Multiple intelligence community assessments released in the months leading up to the November 2016 election concluded that Russia had neither the intent nor capability to impact the outcome of the U.S. election. On December 5th.
We've been listening there to the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, continuing on what has now been a multi-day effort, not only with public statements like this, but release of documents to attempt to back up the quite extreme allegation that President Obama is guilty of treason and that he worked in some sort of conspiracy with Hillary Clinton, etc., in the assessment by the intelligence community at the time that Russia interfered in the 2016 election.
So you see, like, they're kind of, CNN's kind of giving their commentary. I mean, either it's true or it's not. What's extreme about it? I mean, we already know that the Russian hoax, that it was a hoax. They were pushing for a long time that Trump was in collusion with Russia to influence the election. We know that's not true. It was called Russian Gate at the time. We know that there was use of government to influence political outcomes. We know that with Trump, they tried to influence the political outcome by charging him with felonies, and it didn't work because the Democrats were doing such a bad job. They were doing a terrible job, and they picked a terrible between Biden and between Kamala. They picked two terrible candidates that had a lot of problems. Anyway, it says CNN decides to end stream with White House press briefing. So they just ended. They basically just started talking over her and just ended right in the middle. I mean, what is going on? So basically just, we don't like what you have to say. We're just going to cut it off right here and going to start talking over you. That's crazy. America is the country that started the AI race, and President of the United States, I am here to declare that America is going to win it.
Whether we like it or not, we're suddenly engaged in a fast-paced competition to build and define this groundbreaking technology that will determine so much about the future of civilization itself because of the genius and creativity of Silicon Valley. And it is incredible genius. Without question, the most brilliant place anywhere on earth. America is the country that started the AI race. And as President of the United States, I'm here today to declare that America is going to win it. We're going to work hard. We're going to win it.
Okay. Yeah, AI is a big deal. It's basically like having a group of assistants. I use AI a lot. AI is really good for fixing spelling errors, fixing grammar, really good for looking up information. You can create graphics with it. You can create video with it. I've made a bunch of AI videos giving, about Torah. Um, the thing about AI is it's very generic. And so AI content, it's soulless, basically. It lacks individual character. But AI is incredibly powerful as a tool as long as it's not in charge. It's incredibly powerful. It says a Florida federal judge on Wednesday declined to release additional grand jury documents from the criminal investigation of Jeffrey Epstein, marking the first roadblock in the Justice Department's effort to quell the public backlash over the handling of the case. Judge Robin Rosenberg said, that's gotta be a Jew. Robin Rosenberg sounds like a Jew. Said her in ruling that because the Justice Department had requested the sealed evidence be released due to extensive public interest and not as part of a judicial proceeding, the standard usually applied by judges in such cases, her hands are tied. Basically, they try to release this information, but legally you can't release this information. Not legal. All right. Uber will soon let women drivers request female drivers only, expanding a safety feature already offered in some international markets. The company will pilot the program next month in Los Angeles, San Francisco, and Detroit, allowing women to request female drivers and share rides with female passengers. So I thought there's no gender. I thought men and women are exactly the same. I thought men and women are exactly the same. I thought sex and gender is different. So let me ask you a question. If a man, it looks just like me. He's wearing men's clothes, and he says, "Hey, I'm really a woman." So what are Uber gonna do? What is Uber gonna do? I mean, I remember there used to be this thing called some kind of women's gym. When I used to go to the gym every day. There used to be a women's gym. I can't remember the name of it, but they had some kind of gym that was just for women, and I get that. I mean, honestly, I like men only gyms. I wouldn't mind a men only gym. I mean, a lot of times in the gym, people are wearing very tight clothing, and people are like moving around a lot, so there's bouncing and stuff like that. Going to the gym is I think it's good that women should have women only spaces. I think it's good that men should have men only spaces. No one should be forced into these spaces, but people should have the ability to opt out of a mixed gender chevra, a mixed chevra if they can get out of it. They should have that right. Okay. Just an explosions have been reported tonight at fuel displays, oil refineries, and other infrastructure sites in Adler and Skokie, southern Russia, during a large-scale Ukrainian drone attack. It's all pointless, though. It's just pointless. Like at this point, it's just pointless carnage. Russia is going to win. Russia always is going to win. There was never a situation where Russia isn't going to win. And the reason why is because for Russia, this territory is vital. And it's do or die because it's literally Russia against the world. Literally, it's one country, Russia, versus all of NATO and United States. Basically, the whole Western world is against, nobody's helping Russia. So, but all these countries are helping Ukraine. And the fact that there's even still a war shows you that Russia's going to win. Russia's winning. It's slow, it's painful, but Russia's going to take that land back. They're going to take the land. So it's just pointless.
Попали. Попали. Что-то. Вон, взрыв здания. Сирену слышь, заорал. Вон, Санька, главное, спит. Я слышал жужжание.
If anybody speaks Russian, if you want to put the translation in the comments, that'd be nice. I could probably find out, but it would take me a while to put it into a translator and take me a while to figure it out. Okay, Colombia. Colombia has reached some kind of settlement with Colombia. Okay, here we go. Did we just heard about the agreement with Harvard? They're investigating Harvard. The Trump administration secured a major settlement with Columbia University, which will pay out $220 million and commit to ending racially discriminatory practices and addressing civil rights violations against Jewish students. Basically, they're dismantling DEI, and they're paying a huge fine and addressing civil rights, according to the New York Post. As part of the agreement, Columbia will undergo independent monitoring to ensure compliance with merit-based hiring and admissions, a move expected to pressure under other universities like Harvard amid growing scrutiny over campus antisemitism since October 7, 2023, Hamas attack on Israel. Yeah, so basically these universities become outposts for extremism and anti-Semitic discourse and advocacy. So Trump is doing a lot to dismantle it. Now the thing about it is, Trump's only in office for a couple more, 3 more years. I don't know if this is gonna really have the long-term effect that we want. Jeff Bezos. Billionaire Jeff Bezos is exploring a potential acquisition of CNBC. Wow. I think he already owns the Washington Post. I think he owns the Washington Post at least. So he's got a newspaper. Now he have a business news cable network. Why not? I mean, Amazon, I think it's what they call it, the big six. The big American six is like Alphabet, which I think owns Google. Apple, Amazon, Nvidia, and what else am I missing? Missing some other ones, but there's like the big six tech companies. Anyway, big six tech companies, and Amazon is one of them. It's a huge one. So it's a powerhouse. Why not? 61-year-old Amazon founder has reportedly discussed the idea with business associates eyeing a purchase following CNBC's planned spinoff from Comcast. So I see it's owned by Comcast. So he's like, hey, I want to buy it. Okay. There we go. What would you do if you won a 125K Patek Philippe watch? I'd sell that sucker so fast. I'd sell that watch instantly. As soon as I got it, I'd see, okay, where can I get the maximum resale value for this watch? What do I need with a $120,000 watch? Join the Sephardic Foods Fund raffle to enter and win. The Food Fund is a community-supported effort dedicated to discreetly identifying the needy in our midst and providing for their nutritional needs while keeping their dignity intact. The Food Fund is almost entirely staffed by hand-picked volunteers. All proceeds benefit Sephardic Food Fund, providing food for dignity to families in need. You can find the link on... I'll give you the link right here. Listen, cl6t.short.gy/0F6RSM. Click on that, you can get tickets. All right. Trump. Washington, a federal appeals court ruled Wednesday that President Donald Trump's order seeking to end birthright citizenship is unconstitutional, affirming a lower court's decision that blocked its enforcement nationwide. I don't know. He's going to do it. He's going to find a way to do it. These courts are trying to stop him. He's going to do it. And look, most countries don't have birthright citizenship. Most countries in the world, literally in America, you can get off on a plane. You could be 9 months pregnant, get up on a plane. A lot of airlines don't let you fly that pregnant, but regardless, you could get off of a boat or whatever, 9 months pregnant, walk into a hospital, have a baby. The baby's an American citizen, and then because of family unification laws and all that, because the baby's American, the parents can get American citizenship. It's ridiculous that you could like it's crazy that I could fly with my pregnant wife to, most countries would not allow that. Only America. Is stupid. It's stupid because somebody had a baby in your country. Now they're a citizen, and the whole reason for that law was because citizenship was being denied to African Americans, to Black people who had been here for generations, but weren't considered citizens. Not so people could come from other countries as illegal aliens and get anchor babies. So it's really a perversion of the law that was meant to help black people. This whole anchor baby thing, it's ridiculous. All right. Senator Rand Paul says indicting Dr. Anthony Fauci is on the table, questioning the validity of Biden's pardon. Is the pardon valid? Can an auto pen pardon someone? I think indicting Anthony Fauci would be appropriate, he said. I think they're gonna overturn these pardons. I think they are. I think they're gonna. There's just so much pressure. The worst thing about this whole situation is the rule of law is being destroyed, and it wasn't destroyed by the Republicans. The Democrats did it first. They did it by prosecuting Trump, doing everything they could to try to prosecute him for something that is not really a crime and never been prosecuted that way before. Um, it's really a shame. It's really a shame because what's going to ultimately happen is the only way to get things done is going to be to break the law, and so they're going to remake the law. They're going to either remake the law or do it against the law. That's what's happening. Like how Trump deported all these different people. He deported them to a foreign country, and then the court said, "Oh no, you can't deport these people. It's too late. They're out the country." That's what Trump's gonna do. It has to be done. You can't have people. Doctor Fauci basically COVID was not dangerous for most people. It was dangerous for elderly people, and he basically destroyed trillions of dollars of wealth. Basically destroyed our economy that still continues to this day, and caused all these people to be forced to take a vaccine. I took the vaccine. I had to take the vaccine because I was working in nursing homes at the time, and it was some of the only work I was getting during that time. It was very slow during that time, so I had to get the jab. But if I would have had the choice, I would have said no. If I had enough wealth, I would have said no. But I needed the money. I had to work, and that was the only opportunities I had. But he should go to jail. He should go to jail. And he was actually involved in a lot of these gain of function research in Wuhan to actually cause COVID to be much more virulent than otherwise would have been. He needs to go to jail.
You know, when he came before our committee, I questioned him on funding the research in Wuhan, and he adamantly, repeatedly, and heatedly said, I never funded gain of function research ever in China. Well, it turns out that we have a letter from the group that was funneling the money, EcoHealth. They were getting NIH grants. It was going to EcoHealth, and then it was going to China. We have a letter from EcoHealth where they respond because their money had been paused while it was examined whether it was gain of function. And they have a thank you, Dr. Fauci, for restarting our gain of function research. So it's pretty clear the people receiving the money thought it was gain of function research. But we also have other members of the NIH. When we had an interim member, an interim director of the NIH, he came forward and said, of course it's gain of function research.
Right.
So Fauci was playing games with semantics because he worried that this would attach to him. But now he's guilty of a crime.
Well, Senator, even though he's pardoned, I mean, can you open that back up?
That's the real question. Is the pardon valid? Can an auto pen pardon someone? Can a clerk or a college intern running the auto pen, can they pardon someone? We addressed this issue partially, not in court, but there was a time during President Obama's administration that he was jetting off to India, and an important piece of legislation came forward, and he wasn't going to be back in time, and it would be a pocket veto. You know, if you don't sign legislation, if the president doesn't sign it, it fails through a pocket veto. And he wasn't going to be back, so he had his auto pen sign it. And the world knew it was happening, and they doubted the validity of it. But he said, not to worry. When I get back, I will sign it. And I believe he came back and signed it in person because he was worried about the validity of the law without a real signature. So the court would have to decide this. But I think indicting Anthony Fauci would be something that's appropriate. But then I think the court would decide whether the pardon holds, and you'd probably have to interview people. Did the president really do the pardon? Or did a clerk, or was it Joe Biden's chief of staff who approved this? You know, the person who was running the auto pen, I think they already have testimony saying he never talked to the president. So he's running the auto pen. I think there was thousands of pardons coming off of it, and he never discussed it.
I think a lot of people are going to start practicing pleading the fifth because this thing is getting real spicy.
There we go. There we go. So just for those who don't know, the Shomrim are a Jewish protection agency that helps to protect Jews physically, like we have the Hatzalah that runs private ambulances, and the Shomrim will help anybody, no matter your religion. They don't ask you, hey, what religion are you before they help you. Same thing with Hatzalah. Hatzalah doesn't ask you what religion are you before they. If you call Hatzalah, hey, I need help, they'll come and help you. They won't ask you what religion you are. But anyway, Shomrim helps Jews. So Williamsburg Shomrim released surveillance footage showing the arrest of a scammer who targeted a local Jewish. We're gonna play the video while we talk. Mostly in Yiddish.
Letztens voor mensen hoe schrijven eraan. Ze zijn van Canadissen. We gaan toepakken
Excuse me. It's mostly in Yiddish. Williamsburg Showroom released surveillance footage showing arrest of a scammer who targeted a local Jewish woman for $24,000.
Claiming to be a U.S. Marshal, telling her there was a warrant for her arrest unless she paid $13,000 in cash. Scared, she followed instructions. But after the handoff, she realized she'd been scammed and called Williamsburg Shomrim. Their team jumped into action, tracking down photos, a license plate, and quickly setting up a second meeting with the scammer. Working side by side with the NYPD's 79th precinct, they launched a sting operation. The scammer showed up for round 2, but this time the cops were ready.
That's when you told to respond to front of HQ to meet up with PD. 111. 483 111 42 communicates with W11 in front of HQ.
PD walking up the block on both sides with no uniform. I believe items vehicle came on a male with a black t-shirt and a baseball cap just right in front of the building. Have not considered by from the block. Yes, come on, 16. If it's a male with a black t-shirt and a black baseball cap, he went into a car in front of the public school. Looks like he went into a car. And I believe he's pulling out right now a black vehicle.
Is PD holding?
Number one on there. Go and I did Willoughby takes all units. Great job. Great work.
Jeder kan doorvallen in een scam.
Yeah, so he's saying in
Scam in mind.
Tony, I'm gonna finish this. He returned to collect more cash unaware that showing the NYPD had set up a sting near Franklin and Williamsburg Avenue.
5.000, alles zoekte er.
Video shows operating violations
Van klein naar store, dat schoof maar giftkaart. In de straatlang dat in de geld.
He's giving advice, obviously, on
never, ever
scam.
fault zij. Just put down the phone and ignore zij. Afvillen ze wijzen wie de bist, afvillen ze wijzen wie de woonst. Ze kan je niet folgen. Any concern, any kannst uitkomen, willen ze beschermen hem en met de helft van de meeste wat we kennen.
There you go. They're doing good work over there. It says sales of previously occupied U.S. homes slid in June to the lowest pace since last September as mortgage rates remain elevated and national median sales prices hit unprecedented levels. So the prices are going higher and higher and the interest rates are too high. People don't want to buy homes right now. Existing home sales fell 2.7 last month to May to a seasonally adjusted annual rate of 3.93 million units, the National Association of Realtors said Wednesday. So the housing market is slowing down. Here we go. It says footage appears to show the failed launch of a S-300-400 surface-to-air missile during tonight's large-scale Ukrainian drone attack on southern Russia. The missile seems to malfunction mid-flight before crashing back into the ground near Sochi on the Black Coast. That's where the Olympics was a while back. Sochi. I wouldn't want to be on the ground where that fell. President Trump is scheduled to visit the Federal Reserve's headquarters at 4 p.m. Thursday for a 1-hour tour. Amid the growing scrutiny of the central bank's $2.5 billion renovation project, the visit comes as top White House officials continue to criticize Fed Chair Jerome Powell over costly upgrades. Yeah, why are they spending $2.5 billion to upgrade the Fed? Like, what for? What? You know, it's definitely bad optics when people are hurting so badly, and a lot of the economy's not doing well. For them to be spending $2 billion on a renovation project, it's not a good look. It's definitely not a good look. The Fed is a weird thing because the Fed is technically part of the government, but it's not part of the government. It's technically part of the government, but it's actually independent. Basically, they can do almost whatever they want. So it's like separate from the government, but it's part of the government. It's a weird thing. Former Director of National Intelligence James Clapper has confirmed he's lawyered up and made concerns that the DOJ may prosecute him over his alleged role in the Russia's hoax. Clapper called the accusations ridiculous, but admitted, I take seriously when the president accuses me of being part of a treasonous conspiracy. I'll lawyer up, already have. Okay. You better lawyer up. A massive explosion at ammunition depot shook the northern Idlib countryside, resulting in casualties and injuries, according to Syrian media. Syrian Health Ministry says 4 people were killed and 116 others injured as a result of a large explosion at an ammunition depot in Ma'arat Masin in the Idlib countryside, northwest Syria. If I had to guess, I wouldn't be surprised if Israel blew it up. I'm just saying, I wouldn't be surprised. You don't want those al-Nusra Front, al-Jihadi, al-Qaeda terrorists to have any more weapons than they already have. And then they just massacred the Druze not even a few days ago. 8 soldiers were injured Thursday morning when a terrorist rammed his car into a bus stop near Kfar Yona. 2 soldiers were moderately wounded and taken to La Naido Hospital, where 6 others sustained light injuries. The attacker fled the scene, prompting police manhunt with helicopter support. Footage shows the driver behind today's ramming its terror attack in central Israel that injured 8 IDF soldiers. The terrorist is still at large. Wow, just like that. Just like that. It's like everything's a weapon. Can you imagine living that way, where everyone who isn't Jewish is potentially a walking time bomb? And you can't always tell right away who's Jewish and who's not in Israel. And by the way, I remember when I went to yeshiva, I remember I was trying to find my way and I was lost. And at that time, I didn't have like a good cell phone and I didn't have an Israeli SIM card. Now that's the way you do it. If you go to Israel, bring your phone, bring whatever your stuff with you, and you can get an Israeli SIM card either before, or you can they have e-cards depending on your phone that you can have an electronic card. You can even keep your American plan in some plans and use anyway. I didn't have a phone. I didn't know where to go. I called the dean who was like admitting me, and there was no payphones, so I don't remember. Yeah, I think I asked. There was a guy walking by, and he had to be an Arab. And I asked him, "Listen, can I use your phone, please?" And he let me use his phone. He was so nice about it, and he for sure was Arab. So that's the thing. That's the conundrum. A lot of the Arabs, the Muslims, are really nice. They're really friendly. They're great people. But it's always this minority of people, because that's what the religion teaches. It teaches that well, really, you should take revenge on all the kuffar, all the people that don't believe in Islam. You should fight them until the last day. So it's like this conundrum. You have really good people that are really nice, really friendly. Then you have all these people who, at any time, they can snap on you. It's very difficult. Very, very difficult. Following Hamas' response, Israel announces it has decided to return to the negotiating team for further consultations in Israel, indicating crisis in talks. We appreciate the efforts of mediators Qatar and Egypt and the efforts of U.S. envoy Witkoff to bring about a breakthrough in the talks, announced Prime Minister's office. Hamas is reportedly demanding the release of 200 convicted terrorists serving life sentences for murder, along with 2,000 Palestinians arrested in Gaza since October 7th in exchange for 10 living hostages. I mean, this is ridiculous. It's a ridiculous. The only way that could maybe fly if they offered all the hostages. If they said, "Look, give us all the hostages. We'll give you all the hostages. We'll give you all the bodies for exchange for these 200 convicted terrorists serving life sentences and murder." These are convicted murderers. 200 convicted murderers. Do you really think a person like that won't murder again? Of course they will. Then you have 2,000 Palestinians arrested in Gaza. See, these are people who are basically suspected of being Hamas. That's why were they arrested in Gaza? For to be arrested in Gaza, that means that they were either taken as prisoners of war or they're strongly suspected. So basically, these are 2,200 Hamas members plus 200 convicted murderers in exchange for 10 living hostages. Ridiculous. Completely ridiculous. Completely ridiculous. The wreckage of a plane carrying 49 people have been found in Russia's Far East. Local emergency services said Thursday the aircraft had 43 passengers, including 5 children and 6 crew members on board. I can't imagine anyone survived that. Looks pretty bad. 2 buses collided Thursday morning at a Port Authority bus terminal in Midtown, injuring at least 29 people, all with minor injuries, according to the FDNY. Each bus had 35 passengers. Officials believe one bus may have rear-ended the other. The crash is under investigation. Biden's former chief of staff, Ron Klain, is set to testify before Congress about the cover-up of Biden's health.
President was on Ambien before the debate.
Ooh, that audio is terrible. Yeah, we're not gonna watch that one. All right, that's it. That's it for today. Please like and subscribe. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe and click on one of the videos above for more.